I gotta get all my information for the the intro. Let's see what AccuWeather says about the weather today, aside from the winter storm that's going to start at 3 o'clock.
I'm leaving right before the second wave hits tomorrow.
Yes.
So.
All right. Hello, everybody. It is 11:15 on Thursday, March 9th. Temperature outside is 36 degrees and the real feel is 32. We're about to get pelted by another winter storm.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't let that fool you. It's not going to be nice for the rest of the time here.
We're stuck in this really dumb cycle where we get just nailed with a ton of snow, and then it gets up to like 45 degrees 3 days later and it all melts. And then by the end of the next week, the cycle just starts all over and we get hit with another snowstorm.
Exactly. So. Who knows if we'll even have school tomorrow, but I don't know. I guess we can hope.
Well, I already emailed like all of my professors telling them I'm not going to be in class tomorrow because we're leaving. But
true.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll
get to that later in this episode of the WLC Sports Podcast presented by The Sword, Wisconsin Lutheran College's student-run newspaper. This is episode 11. There was a little bit of confusion about which episode it was because John walked in here this morning and initially claimed that this was episode 10, and he numbered the last one incorrectly.
Yeah, there was some confusion. We've covered at length that numbers are not really my thing.
Yeah.
But, it's fine. Number 11, we know the date and time and everything of when it is. So
now that we have our John anecdote out of the way, we can get this episode underway. Our guest today is Ryan Broeckel from men's basketball. How's it going, Ryan?
It's going good. Living life.
Love to hear it.
Yeah,
should we dive right in?
I think we should.
All right, so Ryan obviously is from men's basketball, so that's where we're going to start out. You want to take it away?
Sure. Talking about basketball, I think this is our first time having a guest after their season concluded. So I guess the first thing that I wanted to ask you about was just some of the lessons that you learned from this season and especially from the tournament and how it ended for you guys and everything.
Well, for me personally, one of the biggest lessons I learned was don't underestimate yourself. I came in with, last year was kind of a iffy season for me personally. I set goals that were a little higher, but could have set them higher, to be blunt. As for the team, we had pretty high hopes. We succeeded in most of our goals, so that was really good. We won conference regular season. We finished a lot of our statistical goals in terms of like field goal percentage and things like that. Couldn't quite finish out the conference championship the way we hoped to make that NCAA bid, but in general, it was a successful season, I'd say. So.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like it's fairly safe to say that you at least met some of those personal goals, and the NACC recognized that as well. And just recently named you the Player of the Year for this season. What does that award mean to you?
Yeah, that was a really cool award. I was fortunate enough to win it in high school, and I had no intention of, everyone said like, oh, did you think that was going to happen in college? I'm like, no. I was just trying to get on the floor, sophomore year, last year, and then this year just hopefully contribute any way I could. We kind of, first conference game, I kind of played a little better than a lot of people imagined I would, and then it just kind of took off from there. The coaches really believed in me, which helped. The players had teammates, I should say, had a lot of faith in me. A lot of good support system from family and friends at every game, so just kind of took off and didn't really look back. So that's good.
Yeah, that's awesome. And congratulations on winning that. It's a huge award. I noted that this season you were third in scoring in the NACC, third in rebounds, third in blocks, so really high up in all of those categories. I didn't really see anybody else who had the same numbers across the board there, so really impressive stuff. And you talk a little bit about your support system and your teammates and everything there. I was wondering if you also had any comments about the coaching staff being named like the NACC winners this year as well.
Yeah, so Coach A in particular, this is his third out of fourth year winning this award. And then obviously we got Coach Rob, Coach Sizemore, Coach Broeckel, even our student managers, they help out too. Really, it's not just us. The coaches kind of put a lot in us, a lot of time, a lot of effort. They put a great system in play. We're one of the only teams that pressed for 40 minutes, and they kind of made that change I think it was our freshman year was our first year doing that. So it's just different than what a lot of D3 teams do, especially in the NACC. And we're able to use it to our advantage, and they kind of take what our strengths and weaknesses are every year. Even in the off season, like we were talking, usually we do a lot with like agility and things like that. And he said one of our biggest weaknesses this year was just being stronger than the other team.
Gotcha.
So we're changing even our workout plan in the off season. So they're really good at accommodating everything, and huge props to them. I know they've helped a lot of kids, a lot of guys on the team, physically, mentally, whatever it may be. College basketball, college anything isn't easy,
right.
As you guys know. So they're definitely one of my biggest mentors, so can't praise them enough.
Yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, I mean, congratulations to you and the team on just having a good season. I know you talked about how maybe it didn't end exactly the way you wanted it to, but still a really good season overall, and awesome stuff there. I also just wanted to ask, I know you're a junior going into your senior year next year, so what does that mean for you and for the program and just kind of looking ahead into the future? Yeah,
so it's not just me. We're returning a lot of guys. We're losing 4 guys that are seniors. A lot of minutes for those younger guys. We're a pretty young team. We have a really large freshman class. I think we got like 6 or 7 guys. And then our junior class, going to be seniors, is a pretty big class. We got a lot of guys returning, but still, we got to find roles. Every team is a little different. So I'm excited to see off season, the open gyms and everything like that, who's kind of stepping up. We'll come back in October and see who put the work in. I'm excited for next year. I think, this year I thought we were better than last year, and I think next year we're going to be better than this year, personally. So I got high hopes.
Yeah. That's one of the things I really like about college football, or not college football, college sports at all levels, is that you have this 4 years, so like the younger guys eventually turn into the mentors that mentor the freshmen and sophomores when they're older, and I think that's really cool to see that progression go on, like you were kind of talking about. So definitely really cool stuff. Yeah, I guess anything else about men's basketball? Any stories from the season you want to share? Anything?
Well, I'll keep the stories to the team, but I do want to recognize Grayson Getz. He also got first team.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty cool achievement that 2 guys were able to get first team.
Definitely.
I think 2 other guys could have gotten honorable mention, but is what it is. Voting is always tough to get recognized on all levels, but it's not just us. We had a lot of great guys on the team, whether it be the shooters, the defenders, the rebounders. Everyone kind of had their role, and I think everyone figured out what their role was and they exceeded at it, and that's what made our season so successful. We didn't have a lot of ego issues or anything like that, so a lot of credit. Not only the coaching staff and the leaders statistically, but 1 through, I think we had 24 guys. Everyone kind of stepped up and did their role this year, which was huge.
Yeah, definitely love to hear that. I think the same can be said about the women's team as well.
For sure.
Just with the way that their season went and being successful this year, and the leaders and people stepping up. I know that the women's team comes out to support a lot at your games, and you guys do the same for them. What is that relationship between teams like? Why is that so important to you guys?
Well, I think it's important because we always share gym space. We always see each other shoot, and I'll rebound for someone if they need to, things like that. But just kind of building that relationship of basketball. Just like baseball and softball, like every sport is a little bit different, and you kind of understand what goes into it with the hours that goes into it and everything like that. So we kind of share a bond that way. Everyone kind of like looks at, if you're a basketball player, like, okay, like we kind of resonate. So that's kind of cool. I do try and support as much as I can. It's kind of hard because the scheduling,
right.
Home and away and all that stuff, and Saturdays. We were able to get a lot of double headers on Saturdays, so that was nice. We could watch their games.
For sure.
But credit to them. They went deep in the playoffs again this year. It's tough at any level, D3 through D1, to continually stay at the top. So props to them, props to their coaching staff. They got a lot of people coming back too next year. So hopefully they'll keep it going. Yeah.
They had some leaders across the board in various categories as well this year. So overall, the basketball program's both doing really successful. Really good stuff for the school, and hoping to come back next year even stronger, like you were talking about. So
exactly.
Yeah. Any other comments on basketball, or do we want to move move into something else.
Oh, I think that was fantastic.
Yeah, you already told your basketball story last time.
I did tell my basketball story last time, so if anyone wants to go back and watch that episode to relive my basketball horror story.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as bad as the swimming one.
No.
I think this one's more like whatever, I can laugh about it because it's a very short story.
Yeah, agreed. But no, if you want to hear that one, you can go check out the last episode, the real episode 10. You can go check that one out.
Mm-hmm.
But
are you gonna make sure to number this one right?
It'll be numbered right. Don't worry about it. Now, if you look down there, it says episode 11.
I'm gonna double check it.
Watch me just be completely wrong about this too.
Will,
this could be 12, and I'll just be completely wrong.
When I edit this one and I send it to you, the file name will be in all caps. It'll just have the right number that it's supposed to have. Episode 11, episode 11, episode 11, episode 11. I'll say it like 8 times.
If I get it wrong, just dub it over every time I say it's episode 11. Just be like 12, and it's like very obvious.
I'll do the generic like text to speech voice.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. AI, get it involved somehow. It's really taking off recently. For now, we'll talk about some track and field stuff. We talk about, I guess it's a little different because it's not a season that's coming to an end, but they just had their indoor championships for the NACC just a little bit ago. We'll start by talking about the men's team. They took 4th place at the NACC Indoor Championships. And they had a lot of guys who saw some success. We had Peyton Hartman, a podcast alum, if we can call it that.
Podcast alum.
Who took 1st place in the 5,000 meter and set a school record, which I know was a really big deal for him. We have the distance medley relay DMR team of Jaden Schultz, Ryan Klibowitz, Ray Wooler, and Isaiah Harid. They took 2nd place and also set a school record. I have to give a shout out to one of the runners in that, Ryan Klibowitz. I've never spoken to him actually, but he's the only other person at this school who is from Butler, Wisconsin, which is like the tiny town that I'm from. And so I always take note of that whenever I see his name.
They should put one of those signs like like the welcome to whatever signs. Welcome to Butler, the home of John Cannonberg.
Yeah, well, John Cannonberg and Ryan Klibowitz. Those are the 2 notable names. Yeah. That's actually, I don't even know. Nobody knows where Butler is, even from around here. So I just had to give a little Butler shout out. And then we had Zeke Mitchell, who took 2nd place in the mile and 3rd place in the 5,000 meter. So I put Zeke Mitchell purposely last in the, to talk about in the indoor championships, because then both track teams went to their last chance meets. I don't exactly understand what these are. I think it's mostly just after each championship for the NACC or whatever else, they get 2 more meets where it's mostly just you can participate if you want to try and better your time or something like that. I don't exactly understand the complete purpose of it. But at the Firebird finale, which was at Carthage, Zeke Mitchell also took 2nd place in the 3,000 meter and set the school record for that, which again, I know was a really big deal for him. So cool to see some of these guys setting school records, some of the teams setting school records. And just really awesome stuff there. There was another last chance meet at Ripon called the Ripon Final Qualifier, where Josh Staggs took 1st place in the 3,000 meter and his twin brother Jack Staggs took 2nd place in the 5,000 meter. So overall, a lot of success for the guys in both the championships and those last chance meets that they had.
Setting a good reputation for Jacks everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. And twins too.
Yeah.
So there you go. Moving on to the women's track, they also had all of the same events that the guys did, but for whatever reason, there was no recap on the WLC Sports website.
We're gonna have to get on Heinzen.
Yeah,
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Adam, come on.
Yeah, he really fell down on
Heinzen did come in clutch though with that extension cord he gave us before we started recording this. So.
He did. Where'd you say that was from? It was
that was from the hoops upstairs.
Is it really?
Well, yeah, because we're trying to set everything up, and we're like, oh man, this cord's not gonna reach. We're like, why don't we ask Heinzen? So
and he just always resourced.
He said, make sure you bring that back. I don't want that going lost. I'm like, all right, Adam, you got it.
Yeah, you better not. You better not upset him. He's gonna do something about that if you don't get it back to him.
The face of WLC Sports.
Yeah, exactly.
We had him. He was on the pod a few weeks ago, so if you haven't watched that one yet, you should go back and check it out. We had some fun with Heinzen.
We did, and I will always remember that clip that you edited into the reel that we put on the Instagram, where it showed him just slamming the face and slamming the door and
Yes, that was funny. I laughed at that.
I love that one. That was so funny. But no, he fell down on the job a little bit for this one and didn't put a recap up that I saw at least. So I went into the results, and I noticed a theme throughout the entirety, which was that so many teams, individuals took second place in this. So we had Janae Jensen took second place in the 200, and Arash took second place in the 400. Brooke Grasslin took second place in the 800. The 4x4 team took second place with Ashley Mueller, Janae Jensen, Brooke Grasslin, and Anna Rosh. And then the DMR team also took second place, Brooke Grasslin, Janae Jensen, Ashley Miller, and Emily Hareed. So there's some overlap there with some of the people, but a lot of second place finishes. So cool to see some of those higher up places in meets like that, especially. And then they also had some success at those last chance meets. The Firebird finale, Anna Raj took first place in the 400. Brooke Grasslin took first place in the 800. Janae Jensen second place in the 200. And Emily Hareed third place in the mile. And then the Ripon final qualifier, you had Brooke Grasslin third place in the 400 and Janae Jensen third place in the 200. So I feel like I just said a lot of those names a lot of times. So congratulations to those ladies for doing a really good job across the board in like multiple events. Really cool stuff that they get to compete. I'm always like shocked by how many different events some of these people do. So it's really interesting to see.
And that's not easy.
No. And like, I know, you can kind of break it up into like, okay, there's like the sprints, like the mid distance and the long distance, but it's very different to run a 200 versus a 400 or like a 3,000 versus a 5,000. It takes a lot of like knowledge of pace and just like who you're running against. And obviously with indoor, you don't have to worry about wind, but when it's outdoor, you do. And so a lot of different factors. So track teams are now done with their indoor seasons, and they'll be kind of getting into the outdoor season once we get back from spring break. I think they have a Memphis trip coming up as well, so that'll be a cool opportunity for them. And it seems like we actually have a lot of people who have trips coming up, whether that's over spring break or over a period of time after that. For the first time here, we can actually throw it to you to tell us a little bit about.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Men's baseball.
I've been waiting for this.
Yeah.
So we leave for our annual spring trip to Fort Myers. We're leaving tomorrow at 12:30, or earlier or later if we're running behind. Hopefully, we're not running behind. So yeah, we're going to Fort Myers for a week. Our first games are going to be on Sunday. We're going to start out with a doubleheader against Skidmore. Then we play Franklin and Marshall on Monday, and then I think there's a reserve game after that game. Tuesday we play St. Elizabeth, and then on Wednesday we don't have any like regular season games, but we do have a reserve game that day. Thursday we play Defiance, and then we finish it off with a game against UW Stout on Friday. Then we jump back on the bus and drive all the way back to Wisconsin. So it's going to be a good time, but
very busy.
Yeah. It is very busy. Yeah. There's a lot that happens in that week. So
yeah, very busy week for you guys. When if you're watching this the day that's posted, just know that Jack was probably editing it all the way like down on the 24th.
Yeah, well, I'm either going to be editing this on the bus ride down, or if I can try to put it all together tonight, I will.
Yeah. But in the next couple days, if you're watching this right when it's uploaded, keep an eye on WLC Sports and look for the recaps for the men's baseball.
It's a busy week, but it's a really fun week. So
yeah,
we always have a good time.
And you can escape the winter storm that we were talking about at the beginning.
Yeah. Well, last year we got hit by a winter storm as we were driving down.
Really?
We got hit by a winter storm in like Kentucky through Georgia.
And that's like where they don't know how to handle that. Like
I know, but it was like, Coach was talking to someone. They said it was like the worst storm they've had there in like 20 or 30 years or something.
Wow.
And like, what are the odds that it's going to hit us when we're driving down? And this was like during the middle of the night too when it hit us. And they shut down like all the interstates, all the freeways and everything. So we had to drive on like these country back roads.
Oh, jeez.
And I'm trying to sleep. It's like 3 a.m. and I just keep, every time I open my eyes, I'm kind of looking around. I'm like, I can't see anything more than like, 30 yards in front of us. And I don't even know which direction we're moving. I don't know if we're moving. And I think there was just kind of this unspoken consensus on the bus that was like, well, if we crash and die and this is how it ends, Okay. That's just the end.
All in the name of baseball.
All in the name of baseball, man. There's a lot of sacrifice that goes into this game.
I guess so. Yeah. Well, hopefully the travels are safer this particular time.
I'm optimistic, but we'll have a lot of fun. There's a lot that happens both on and off the field. So
I'm sure.
Did I tell you my story about what happened at the Florida gas station last year?
No.
Okay, I'll tell you the brief version of what happened at the Florida gas station. So the hotel we were staying at was kind of just, like right by kind of like the strip mall of just a bunch of restaurants and gas stations, grocery stores, whatever you want to call it. And one night, like half the team decided we were going to go to the gas station for FroYo. It was, I think the place was kind of like the Florida version of Quick Trip, to put it in Midwestern terms.
Gotcha.
So we went to this place for FroYo, and it was like, I don't know, 9 o'clock at night or something. And we get in there, and they got like all the flavors lined up.
Right.
So I go over like I think it was like just like the chocolate flavor or something. And I put my little cup underneath it. I pull down on the lever, and it just like coughs out like 3 drops of completely frozen or not completely melted liquid.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, what's going on here? All of a sudden, the guy who must have been like managing the shift at the gas station just runs over and starts just chewing me out for trying to use the flavor that was closed. But there was no like signage or anything like on this area to indicate that the flavor was closed. So he was really mad at me about it for some reason. He looks around and he sees that, the whole group is in there, and he can tell we're all on the same team because, we're walking around in our WLC baseball gear. And he looks around at everybody. He's like, all right, you know what? All of you guys, your FroYo is free. And the team's all happy. And then he turns to me, he's like, except for this guy.
Did he actually?
He actually did it. Fortunately, the rest of the team like crowdfunded the $5 it took to buy my FroYo. So
it was basically free.
It was, but yeah, so apparently like I just did not make this guy happy at all. I think it didn't help that like when he started yelling at me for it being closed, my response was like, how was I supposed to know it's closed? Like I wasn't trying to be rude to him, but at the same time, I did nothing wrong here. That's my version of the story. I did nothing wrong. I acknowledge nothing. But yeah, so now the theory is that when we go back this year, if we try to go back to that same gas station, there's going to be like a sign posted on the door. Like I'm not allowed in. Like if you see this man and it's just a picture
you're on
of
a
me,
wanted poster.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But
I feel like
we'll see what happens.
I was very scared about that story when it started with the words Florida gas station. That felt like
come on, you knew I would only tell a story that's appropriate.
That's
for the
true.
pod,
Although
so.
I will say, I feel like if this somehow makes it to like that area of Florida, that manager no longer has a job because he gave an entire team free FroYo.
Oh like man, maybe I got him in trouble. I don't know. Then he's really not going to be happy if he sees me this time.
You're just going to get banned from like the whole county.
This is like a sitcom plot where it's like I just like no matter what, I always get on this dude's nerves, and every time I try to make it right, it just gets worse.
That's true. That's true.
But I don't know.
Well, best of luck with your travels with the team. Best of luck to the team when in the games, and hopefully all goes well for both you and the ladies in the softball team too. Do you guys travel together, or is that like a?
We drive. Don't quote me on this. I think they fly.
Okay.
I don't want to go like firmly on the record on that, and then they get mad at me for falsely like claiming that they get better travel than us. So
I gotcha. But like, do you play in like the same places, or is it?
No.
Okay.
We don't.
So it's completely separate, but it's still Florida.
Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, it is, but different areas of Florida.
Gotcha. So they didn't get free FroYo, is what you're saying.
I don't know what they do during their trip.
I guess we'll have to invite somebody from the team on, and we'll have to talk to them about that.
Yeah. We'll get the spring sports fired up.
For sure. Well,
probably once we get back, that's when we'll make like the official pivot. To the spring sport, the spring sport version of the pod.
Yeah, after we reach break, we'll transition over. Mm-hmm. Women's softball actually already had some games though, which I guess it's hard to say much because they only had the first two kind of inaugural.
We were supposed to have games last weekend too. We were going to have like because normally we go to Minneapolis and we play at US Bank Stadium.
Oh, that's really cool.
But that game got canceled. The
really?
doubleheader got canceled, so we ended up not playing that. We just did some scrimmages over the weekend, but
gotcha.
We're rearing to go. I think everybody's ready. So
yeah. What's it like playing outside when it's like 30? Like
not fun.
I can imagine.
It's even less fun when you're not playing and you're like sitting there, monitoring all this stuff for the game. So it's last year was rough because I think I told you this already. Like the weather was so bad that we only played maybe like 4 games on our home field.
Right.
We ended up going to Concordia a lot just to use the turf there. So
yeah. I'll say something about Concordia when we get to the tennis section. But first, we should just talk about women's softball split their first day of games. They won against Lawrence 6-1, and they lost to UW Superior 7-11. They played UW Superior first, but the reason that I put that second was to transition into men's tennis because we actually just played UW Superior as well, as did the women. Actually, we played on the same day. It was one of probably our only match of the whole year that was actually fell into the same like kind of doubleheader thing like you were talking about with basketball a bit. So since our last podcast episode, we took a win against Lawrence 5-4. We lost to Simpson 3-6. I think Simpson's in Iowa somewhere. I forget. I looked it up because I could not remember when we were playing.
Is this going to be a callback to episode? Was that episode 1 when we were trying to do geography?
I think it was the one that we didn't want anybody to watch because it was so low quality. Yeah. And then, like I said, we lost to UW Superior. It's interesting because the scores that I have written down, right? Like lost to Simpson 3-6, lost to UW Superior 1-8. 3-6 obviously sounds worse than 1-8. But UW Superior is a really good team. They're undefeated on the year so far. And I felt like we actually played really, really well in that match. I think the overall team score doesn't represent how close a lot of the matches were. There were some opportunities to win. I ended up just barely losing my match, and I got to give a shout out to my teammate Bryce Halverson. He actually won against a guy who, like, realistically is significantly better than him, at least in rating. But he was able to pull out a win, so that was a really big deal for him, and really cool to see him get the W there. I also have to give a shout out. I don't know if you saw this, Jack, on my Snapchat story yesterday.
I did.
My tennis shoes, we had practice yesterday and the day before, and I've known for a while that they're in bad condition, obviously. But like, I don't know if you can like put a picture up on the screen. It got to the point yesterday where I looked down to like, I don't even know, just kind of like scrape them off or like clean them off, and I could see my sock through the bottom of the shoe, and I was like, it might be time.
To give it up.
Yeah, definitely. But
now this is just reminding me of like I was telling my friends this a few days ago. Like, my dad will just hang on to pieces of clothing until they literally just are completely disintegrated.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure he'd do the same thing with like that shoe too. But he's got like this work fleece that he wears where like the entire like outer layer of like the right arm is just completely ripped off, and it's like just exposed lining and insulation. He still wears it. He's got like another fleece where the zipper completely broke, so he just like zip tied the whole thing up. It's like, I don't know why he does it, but he just does not buy like new things. He'll just hang on to everything.
I feel like that's a dad thing.
It kind of is.
I feel like my dad definitely has some things that he's had since like college that he still wears around. But
I guess you just can't beat the old stuff, I guess.
I guess so. Well, I'm probably going to end up making a purchase here over spring break, and so then when we come back, it's going to be a change for us, both for my shoes and just for we're getting into NACC conference play. We start the weekend after spring break with, we play both at Concordia. So Concordia, Chicago, we go down there. And then CUW, we hypothetically play that weekend as well.
What does hypothetically play mean?
Hypothetically means they have a home match and they want to play outside. Tennis is one of those sports where I'm pretty sure the rule is if it's under 40, we can't play.
Okay.
Just because, I don't know. It just, it doesn't.
You got to be more like us and play when it's like 23 out.
Well, yeah, the difference though is that like.
I know.
Most places until it's like middle of May don't even put the nets up because they just understand that nobody's going to play. And considering this whole snowstorm cycle that you were talking about, true. There's always the chance that the courts are covered in snow. So we don't know if that happens, whether we'll be rescheduled to play inside or what's going to happen there. But regardless, we'll start out the NACC season and hopefully start out strong. Concordia's been a tough team in the past for us, so hopefully we can get a W this year and play against them.
Very nice.
So yeah. And then I think final sport that we have to talk about is men's volleyball. Men's volleyball, I'm realizing, is kind of strange because like I always think of them as a winter sport, but they are like just starting their NACC season now, so it's almost like halfway between winter and spring. They had a little bit of a tough start to their NACC season. They took 0-3 losses to Marion and Benedictine, but they still are having their most successful season in program history. They've taken a couple wins so far this year, and so as they play more NACC competition within spring break and after spring break, hopefully they'll see some improvements, have some good matches against some teams that they have struggled against before as well. So I think that's what we got for the sports. Yeah. Any other topics you need to?
I don't think I have anything super entertaining to add.
Anything you have to add, Ryan?
That's all I got now.
All right, sweet. Do we want to just kind of conclude it here?
Yeah, we can wrap it up. So happy spring break, everybody.
Yes.
I think it's been a long haul to get to this point.
Oh, yeah.
Sports teams that are traveling, good luck. My camp included, traveling to Florida. Also, anyone who's not traveling, good luck resting, I guess.
Good luck braving the snowstorm here.
Yeah,
if
true.
you're staying around.
I feel like the people who are traveling are going to be getting out of here like just in time.
Yeah.
So
I'm jealous, definitely.
Yeah.
But
well, you know what? Have fun with the snow. Everyone, have fun on your break, whatever you're doing. And we will see you in a couple of weeks after this. We learned that we're not going to project dates anymore because John can't do that.
No, numbers.
So for now, we'll just say thank you all for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.